So this is part 3. Oh, I gotta wait for my face to come up. Oh. Okay, this is part 3. From here on out, we're going to basically do some best practices. We're going to work on the game a little bit. First thing that let's just talk about like what's going on here. We'll go back to the game. There's some stuff we need to fix in the game. We'll deal with that later. I showed you how to make a rule book and how to implement it. Not too bad, not too hard. Of course, you can be as creative. The idea is here to give you some building blocks. You expand on it. This is the game that I like the aesthetics of this though. Let's go ahead and not forget about it. I'm going to put this over here. Here's the game. This was the version that's before this version. This is not our most current version because I think in the most current version we can go like that. And yeah, we have it connected. Okay, so let's set it up like we would normally set it up and put it in our checks and balances and everything. So remember, for any of this stuff you have any questions about or whatever, you can always ask LLM to help you fix it. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. We already saved that. So let's start a new prompt. Remember to hit the canvas section. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you what I do, and you can probably come up with a better version. This works for me. I need to come up with the first prompt to give to an Gemini 3.0 before it starts doing its tasks. I have 4 jobs. The first job that we need to make a prompt for, basically these are going to be, we're going to call them mandates. The first mandate is for the project manager. We're going to have a project manager. We're basically going to make a game. Working title is, what is it? We'll call it a sleeper painting. In this game, for the working title, we need a project manager. His job is only to maintain a document of the game and all the features that we want in the game. This will stop us from doing any, project creep and removing things that we want in the game. We need an ongoing, basically a Bible, the history of what changes we've made, what direction we're going in, all that stuff, just documentation. So I need a prompt. Basically, it would be me opening up Gemini 3.0 for the first time, pasting this prompt in there, and that prompt will let the project manager know you're working on this game. Here's your job. The second agent is going to be a technical lead. This guy is the one who's going to make information for a coder. He's the one who's going to take my idea. I'm going to say, hey, here's a change I need to make to this game. It's going to give me a plan. It might even give me some code snippets that the coder needs to add to the plan. I might tell the lead, I might say, hey, the game's not working. It crashed. Here's why it crashed. He will analyze the files, and then he will also write me an action plan for the coder to fix it. His job is to write an action plan for a coder and another action plan for a verifier who's going to look at the original file that I made and the file that the coder just generated, the modified version, and compare them and look at what has changed. Because sometimes LLMs will add or remove things that are not supposed to be removed. And the verifier needs to know what was changed. What are they looking at? Is this safe? So that's the job of the technical lead. Then we'll have a coder. The coder will take information from the technical lead. He'll get a action plan on what code to make. He'll have access to all the code. He'll look at that plan and generate code. His job is just to generate code and not creep outside of that plan. Then the next job is a verifier. The verifier just takes a modified version, an original version, and the instructions on what they're looking for. And then their job is to tell the technical lead whether the coder failed or did not fail. So that's 4 different job titles. Make sure that the technical lead knows the workflow and knows that the coder, every time we have something coded, we're going to have a brand new coder, meaning I'm going to refresh the page and start a new prompt and then give them the agent mandate. And then at the same time that I give them the agent mandate, I give them the current files that are in the folder. The current files for the game. And then it'll generate code based on the action plan that I give it. The coder is always new. And once we get an okay from the technical lead, from the verifier, that the code has not been tampered with in a way that we did not ask for it to be tampered with, then we will put that into the game. Otherwise, that code will be thrown away if it doesn't pass verification. So write me a document with each paragraph or whatever of each type of agent and their mandate. The technical lead, I will upload the file when I start the prompt or the files for the game. I will do the same for the coder. The verifier, they will only get the files that they need to analyze. And as far as the project manager, they'll get the information at the very beginning, but after that, all they're doing is maintaining the Bible. Okay, so let me talk about that while I have the Gemini write this. So it's going to write it, and I'll talk about what I'm doing. Okay, we're going to basically have 4 tabs. One tab, you don't need it open all the time. It is a tab of what you've done to the game, what you want the game to be like, any features that you want added, any features you want removed. You have to let the project manager know this stuff. Their job is to make sure that the end result has these things. So at some point when we're later on in the project, we're going to take the information from the Bible and we're going to give it to an LLM and we're going to give them the game and say, does this adhere to the Bible? Okay, so that's their job. We have a project manager. Imagine you're talking to your homeboy and you said, hey man, I need you to make sure that these jackasses that are working on my game, they don't screw it up and put a bunch of crap in the game that I didn't want. Okay, the next thing is we have a technical lead. Their job is the technical part. They're going to analyze your code. You're going to tell it when the code breaks. You're going to tell it what new features to put in. You're going to tell it what to change, but it's not going to actually do it. What it does is make you an action plan. Now, your job is to look through the action plan, make sure that it sounds like what you wanted to do. And then you take that information and you give it to the coder when it fits, when it's right. And then the coder has your original game. He reads that file, that action plan for the game for whatever you wanted to do, and he makes it happen. He modifies the files and he generates them. He codes. All he does is code. His job is not to think, it's to code. Do exactly this. Now they're going to screw up and they're going to think and they're going to add things and remove things that they think are best practices for coding. But those best practices might jeopardize your vision. So that's why we have a verifier. Then we get that we get that code that it freshly generated with the changes we added or the changes we had to make. We go to the verifier, give them the original file that we're working off of. In other words, we give them the file that the coder had to look at, the current version of the game. The verifier will take that version, and then you tell it, I just uploaded the current version of the game. I had it modified. Here's a modified version of the game. And then we're going to give it information from the technical lead who wrote out what the changes need to be made. And he'll also say, look for these problems, make sure that these things are still in there. And then if they're in there, give me a thumbs up. If they're not in there, give me a thumbs down so we can do this again and get it right. So then we give that action plan to the verifier. It'll compare them, look for the problems, tell you if it was modified in the direction you wanted to. Was there anything that was taken out that wasn't supposed to be taken out? And then if it's all good, he'll give you a thumbs up. You let the technical lead know that was a thumbs up. You put it in the game, test it, make sure it works. And if it works, you tell the technical lead, hey, write me a page for the project manager so that we let them know what we just did. It'll write them something. We copy that, put it in the prompt for the the project manager, so that they know what's going on. Basically, they're looking at their boss, say, hey, this is good. And then we just do it that way. I know it sounds like a whole lot to do, but it isn't. You're not doing a whole lot. It sounds like you're doing a lot more than you're really doing. And if you don't do it, you're going to find out the hard way that your project is going to be missing and some shit's been added and your project's all fucked up and you have to go back and redo the project or make sure you save it a lot of extra files and try to it's just such a mess. This is just those things that as your project gets bigger and as you start refining that project, as you make that project more yours, because right now, like I gave LLM an idea. I know what it should be. It filled in a lot of blanks. This isn't really my game. This is our game. It's interpretation of my idea. Now I'm refining it. I'm slowly refining it, right? The more I refine it, the less I want it modified in a direction that I'm not looking for. Right now, if it accidentally adds something in there, it might be a feature, it might be a bug. It might give me an idea to go forward and to change it in the right direction. But as I start making modifications, it's like Russian roulette. It'll remove stuff. It'll add stuff. It'll screw me and my project. All that time I took to come up with the idea to put it in there, and 5 versions later, I find out that it's gone and I don't know how long ago it was taken out. You don't want to be there. I've been there so many times. It took me a long time to get to the point where this is the way I work. Now, you can do other things. So let's go back here. Where is it at? Here. Boom. There we have our workflow cycle. We have our information for the different things, different LLMs. I'm going to show you what you can do, and you can refine it even further. So let's copy this, right? I haven't read through the document. I'm assuming it's right. Don't ever assume, but I'm only doing this for teaching. Let's go ahead and start Gemini again. I currently have a workflow that works for me. I make web-based games. I'm a board game designer, but I'm working on making web-based games. And these web-based games, I've noticed that LLMs will sometimes change my code, remove things I don't want removed, add things I don't want added, and it's just a mess. So I came up with a workflow that works for me. I'm going to give you the workflow here in a moment. I want you to analyze the workflow and come up with a simpler workflow, maybe that I can only use 2 browser tabs instead of the 4 browser tabs I'm currently using. But right now, my checks and balances are really good. I really like what I have. So we add that. Hold on, I've got a dog underneath me trying to tear up my cable. Okay, so we did that. So it's going to take my ideas or what I use, and it's going to come up with, and it's going to refine it. Boom, it came up with a 2-tab system. Okay, another idea. LLM. Bam. Pro. We'll go deep thinking. Delete that. We don't need that. Go here. I have a problem. I design board games and I don't know how to code. Currently, I've been using Gemini 3.0 to code with, and I've made some pretty cool projects. Problem is that from the start of the project to the middle of the project, I end up having to have the LLM recode stuff because it removes things and features that I've added, and it'll change numbers periodically that I'm not even talking about changing. So as I'm building this game and having it refine the code, it's making unauthorized changes and unauthorized removals that are totally messing up my game, and I'm having to go back and rebuild it or add those features again later. Sometimes they're totally lost to time because I forgot what the feature was. Sometimes I don't even know what's been removed until it's too late. What's a good workflow that you can come up with for me to not have to worry about things being removed without my consent, or things are being changed without my consent? How can I make it where I don't have to worry about that? Okay, so it's going to come up with an idea. This one changed my 3 tab into a 2 tab. Let's see what it says.
This is an exceptionally sophisticated workflow. You have effectively reinvented a multi-agent system manually. Your logic is sound. By compartmentalizing the roles, you prevent context bleeding, which is exactly why LLMs start deleting code or hallucinating variables after a long conversation. To reduce this from 4 tabs to 2 tabs without losing the safety of your checks and balances, we need to group the agents by thinking versus doing. Here is the analyzed and optimized 2-tab workflow. The strategy, the director and the fabricator. We will consolidate the high-level reasoning, PM, architect, verifier, into one context, and keep the code generation, coder, isolated in a disposable context. Tab 1, the director, strategic context, roles, PM plus technical lead plus verifier. Why? These 3 roles require shared memory. The verifier needs to know exactly what the tech lead planned.
Okay. I don't like the idea, just because I'm relating it to humans, not to LLMs, but you don't want the police and the judge to be the same person. That's a conflict of interest. Now, I could be overly paranoid, but if you're dealing with people, you don't want the same person who's enforcing the law to come up with the laws. That's like some Animal Farm shit.
The tech lead needs to know the scope from the PM. Usage. This tab stays open permanently. It holds the game Bible and the master plan. Tab 2. The fabricator. execution context, roles, coder. Why? This must remain isolated. As you noted, LLMs degrade over long coding sessions. This tab is reset, new chat, for every single task. The new workflow steps. Tab 1, Director, you propose a feature. The director updates the game Bible and outputs a coding blueprint. Tab 2, Fabricator, you paste the blueprint and current files. The fabricator outputs the code. Tab 1, Director, you paste the new code back here. The director runs the verification protocol, comparing it to the blueprint it just wrote. The prompts. Tab 1, the director. Context, use this for your main chat window. Input, paste this prompt once at the start of the project. Tab 2, the fabricator. Context, use this for the code generation. Reset this chat, new chat, after every single file output. Input, paste this prompt plus the blueprint from tab 1, plus the game files. Why this is better? The loop is tighter. You don't have to copy the verification criteria from the Tech Lead tab to the Verifier tab. Tab 1 already knows the criteria because it wrote them 30 seconds ago. Context window efficiency. The Director tab holds the history of decisions, PM, and the logic of the code structure, Architect, which improves the verification step. It knows why a change was requested, not just what changed. The anti-rot mechanism. By forcing tab 1 to audit the work of tab 2, you maintain the adversarial relationship that makes your current workflow good, but without the window clutter. Next step for you. Would you like me to run a simulation of this 2-tab workflow using a hypothetical feature, e.g., add a pause menu, so you can see exactly how the interaction flows between the two prompts?
Obviously, we don't. We already figured that out. But I mean, in case you do, like, basically, what I'm showing you is you can be idea guy. You tell the LLM your idea, and you work through your idea with the LLM. So if you have a problem, you can use the very tools that cause the problem to cause the solution. Like I said, it's like having a very smart, dumb person. Okay, so check this out. I have a problem with this workflow, and it has to do with trust in people and trust in systems. If you think about Animal Farm, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have the person who makes the law also enforce the law. Meaning, if you are the technical lead and you want to make a change because it's better for the code, and you get the coder to do it, and you verify it against what you wanted to change, then you've essentially messed up my confidence, because having a separate verifier, they didn't make the law. What they did is they're interpreting the law. Now, that does introduce its own problems, but what it makes sure is that the person who wrote the rules for the coder, that they didn't accidentally not type something, or their interpretation is not the letter of the law. Their interpretation of what they wanted changed is different than if another LLM was just analyzing, here's the letter of the law, and the ambiguity, because of the ambiguity, I'm going to have to fail this because there's too much ambiguity or whatever. Basically, I'm saying you can't have the judge and the sheriff be the same guy, because you have the person interpreting the law and the person doing justice as the same person. That's in people terms, that's corruption. It might not be corrupt now, but it will be corrupt at some point with the wrong person doing it. Let's see what it says to that. What was our prompt here? Oh, I have it to give me a system. Let's see what system it comes up with.
It sounds like you're experiencing AI, drift, and context collapse. This happens because LLMs like Gemini 3.0 operate on a best guess for the next part of a file. When a project gets large, the LLM starts sacrificing parts of the code it deems less relevant to fit everything into its immediate response window. Since you don't code, you are essentially the project manager and the LLM is your junior developer. You need to stop letting the developer rewrite the whole book every time you want to change one sentence. Here is a 3-step workflow to keep your game features safe and your numbers locked in. 1. Modularize. Break the one big file habit. The primary reason things get
Yeah, so basically, one of the things you can do is once this code gets too big, it's what it's talking about. You're going to break it into sections, and you're going to break the code up itself into sections. Well, you're not going to do it. You're going to have the LLM do it. But basically, you're going to have the code refactored. At some point, while you're working with your project, you're going to realize it's taking it longer and longer to make these changes, and it's more prone to mess up. So you're either going to ask the LLM, how can we streamline this? Or you're going to know that it's time to refactor. Refactor just means you're going to break it up into pieces and rearrange the code. So you're going to tell it, let's refactor, and make me an action plan to refactor. It'll make an action plan and then give it the files and then say refactor, and it's going to refactor and break it up into one file for CSS, one file for HTML, and then several different files. Probably, maybe it starts out with one, but eventually it might be 2 or 3. I have a project that has like 8 JavaScript files, and then you have it in all these different sections. So whenever I ask an LLM, hey, I need to fix things, it'll say coder modified, and it'll say the file, and it'll modify it. And it takes like seconds because the files are not that big. And then I'll verify it or whatever.
Removed is that your code is likely in 1 or 2 massive files. The larger the file, the more the LLM will hallucinate deletions to save space. The strategy: ask the LLM to split your game into separate files, e.g., card logic, JS, score rules, JS, player stats, JS, UI_display, JS. The benefit: when you want to change a score rule, you only give the LLM the score rules, JS file. It won't even see, and therefore cannot accidentally delete, your card logic, JS. 2. The rulebook manifest file.
Okay, the other thing I need to talk to you about is when you do refactor. Now, this is all stuff that I might just continue with this project and go through all these things. When you refactor and you have the file into 3 separate files or more, basically you'll have the HTML separated in its own file, you have the CSS separated in its own file, and the JavaScript stuff can be in several different files or one file. It's usually, okay, so Gemini, I don't know about the other LLMs, but Gemini would prefer, or it understands the best practices is to have one file. So what it's going to do, it's going to combine all the files every time you ask it to do something. And then if you realize that it's combining the files, you have to stop it and then tell it, hey, I need these done in separate files. Just one of the things to think about.
Since you are a board game designer, you know the importance of a rulebook. You need a project manifest, a simple link to .txt or MD file that you copy-paste into every new chat session. Example manifest content: current features, list, dice rolling, card drawing, resource trading, golden rules, do not change, max players equals 4. Resource wood must always start at 10. Do not remove the endgame trigger logic. Current file list, card logic, JS, UI, JS, etc. Every time you prompt, start with, refer to my manifest. Do not change any golden rules or remove existing features. Today, we are only modifying specific task.
Okay, so basically it's telling you, the Gemini is telling you to come up with these golden rules, whatever. That's baloney. Best case scenario, yes, but it doesn't work that way. You can specifically tell Gemini, do not code. Do not code until I give you the green light to code. And it's so proactive that you'll just be, let's say, brainstorming, and then all of a sudden, it'll just start generating code. and it's using your tokens and you didn't ask it to. If you see it doing that, go ahead and stop it. Let me give you an example. And this is just to give you an example of, I'm not going to give you the example of it screwing up because I'm sure I could make it do it, but I'm not 100% sure I could. Let's go to Pro. Let's go to Canvas. In the Canvas area, make me a website about board game designing. I'm a board game designer. I want my information on there and the various games that I'm working on. I want links to the games. I want links to other resources such as BGG, place for pictures, a place for various links like that. You can use JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. Also, I would like maybe a link to my maybe a catalog of my games that I have, that I actually own, games that I love. Just give me a broad idea what my website would look like, and we'll start there. Use red, black, dark gray, and white. Okay, I'm just throwing that out there. This is just nothing. Don't worry about what it does, because that's not the important part. Okay, so it's going to start trying to generate it, right? Here it goes. So you can stop it. You can stop it. Once you stop it, it has that information that you gave it. Like, it looks like, because this is my prompt, right? It looks like it didn't, if I start asking it stuff, it's going to forget it. But no, it knows it already started. I stopped it. So let's delete that. Let's just say, I changed my mind. I don't want red, white, and blue. I mean, red, white, gray. Let's take out gray. It's just going to be red, black, and white. No gray. Gray's too dull. Okay, so it does look like it wouldn't know the prompt that I had before, but it does. Make sure to stop it if it's doing something that you don't want. Because, like I said, it uses your tokens. And if it uses all your tokens, then it'll have you timeout. Like, basically, it's going to put you in timeout in the corner and tell you, hey, if you want to work with Gemini, you're going to have to wait 8 hours or whatever it is, or use the free model. And the free model is no fun. It's generated in code. Anyway, so I was just giving you that as an example. Let's go back.
3. Use diff prompts, the surgical method, instead.
Okay, diffs. This I don't like because I don't code. But we can go over here. It could tell us to surgically put in, like, let's say I want to change the color of this game, replace everything that's gold to red. Okay, so yeah, I don't code, so I could learn and try to find it in here. I can tell the LLM, tell me approximately where it would be and give me the information around it and give me what to copy and paste. And I can surgically go and copy and paste it in there. I don't do that. I generally have it code everything at one time. If I've got a little change like that, I'll write it down and remember that that needs to change, and then have that as one of my changes. Whenever I make an action plan, I'll say, hey, turn what's gold to red. Now, if you need it changed right now, you can do the surgical method. All you do is tell it where, make me a diff, or make me a little bit of code that I can copy and paste and fix it in the game. Tell me approximately where it is, and you can hunt it down, copy and paste it. And if you know anything about coding, probably be a lot easier for you. I don't like doing that. I just get it all at one time and just have it do all the code at once. I do have to go through the verification process and make sure that nothing extra has been added in The reason why I do that is because while it's working, I can think about the next project. I can think about this project. I can play the project, play test the project, and have it do its job. I basically pay so that Gemini, Google can do that for me, and me not have to go and paste these one things, because that takes a long time. It's quicker, probably, for Gemini 3.0 to write it all out than it is for me to copy, look for the part in the file, paste it, make sure I didn't screw up, refresh it, and see if it works. Some things yes, some things no. Just kind of depends.
Instead of asking for the recoded file, ask for just the changes. This prevents the LLM from rewriting and messing up the rest of the code. Poor prompt. Add a double jump feature to this code. Pasts 500 lines of code. Better prompt. I am using the attached code. Do not rewrite the whole file. Only provide the specific code block needed for the double jump feature and tell me exactly where to paste it. Comparison of workflows. Traditional workflow, risky. Your new workflow, safe. Give AI the whole game file. Give AI only the specific module file needed. Ask, update my game. Ask, add X, while keeping Y and Z unchanged. AI gives back 1,000 lines of code. AI gives back 10 lines and paste after line 45. Features disappear silently. Changes are isolated. The rest of the game is untouched. A non-coder safety net. Version control. If you aren't using GitHub Desktop, you should start today. It is a visual program, no code required. Every time the game works, you click Commit. 2. If the LLM breaks the game or deletes a feature in the next step, you just click Revert and you are back to your working version instantly. Would you like me to help you write a master manifest for your current game project to help Gemini keep track of your features?
Okay, so I have not personally used GitHub. I probably will this next week. I've been working with LLMs for over 6-7 months working on games. I worked on earlier versions of Gemini. This Gemini is better. In fact, some of the problems I've come across with earlier versions of Gemini, this new Gemini has been able to solve really quickly. Basically, I'm just going through and giving you the tools to say, okay, you come across a problem, use this multi-purpose tool, LLM, to help you fix that problem. All right, so that was him. That was Gemini coming up with a version of how to not get AI drift and context collapse. I have my 4 tab version that I'm real familiar with. Let me show you how that works. Basically, I would start a new tab. I would upload my file that I'm working with. I'm working with Sleeper. I add that to it. It has the game in there. I go to the LLM that wrote, where's it at? One of these guys. Okay, here we go. Project Manager. This one will be the project manager. I'm gonna have it modify this file. I'm gonna say, in each of the mandates for the personas of the LLM, I would like you to end it with, I understand, I'm ready to go, and then its name, such as technical lead. That way, I know that it's read through the mandate. Okay, so it's going to add this to there, and then I'll show you how that works. It's just going to, we'll know if it read it or not. What's really cool is that if you have the file up there, up on in Canvas, and it knows, and it previously wrote it, oh, that's crazy. There's some kind of imperfection in the agent mandates where you've got implied, in progress, and backlog somewhere in there in a different font. Please fix that. Also, make sure that the technical lead knows it's not ever allowed to make code. It can write diffs for the coder to translate, but it can never write code. It's not allowed to. Okay, it's rewriting the document for the agent mandates. There we go. Cool. It's almost done. Make sure to save this because you're going to use this as your template every time you start. First thing you do, well, let's save this in my documents, export to documents, however you need to save it. Basically, when I start, I open this up. And first thing in the morning, I open this up. I start. I've got so many damn tabs open. We don't need that. Okay, so I opened it up. I gave it the file that it'll be messing with. I'm going to go here. We'll make this one the technical. We'll make this one the technical lead. We'll copy all the information for the technical lead. We'll paste this in here. And then it's going to read through all that and look at the file. Let's go ahead and open Canvas up here in a moment. It won't let me do it while it's thinking. Unfortunately. I understand. I'm ready to go. Technical lead, blah, blah, blah. I received the file.
I understand. I'm ready to go. Technical lead. I have received and analyzed the current game file. File, sleeper, HTML. Single file HTML containing CSS, DOM structure, and Canvas, game logic.js. Please provide the specific request, bug fix or new feature you would like to implement.
I know that it's very early in this project, but I would go ahead. This project's going to end up refactored into 3 different files, one file for the CSS, one for the HTML, and one for the JavaScript. Let's go ahead and make me an action plan on refactoring this file. Okay, so then that's our technical lead. Of course, if you know your browser, you can write stuff in there such as this is a green tab, this is what it's for, blah, blah. We'll go here. This one is going to be our coder. Then we'll take this coder information and we'll give it to the coder. Oh, we forgot to give it the file. Upload sleeper. And we'll get another guy. I say guy, it's an LLM. And I'll copy the stuff for the verifier. And the verifier doesn't need a file yet. I understand. I'm ready to go. Coder, blah, blah, blah. Boom. This guy came up with the action plan. Please make the action plan in Canvas so I can it'd make it easier for me to copy and paste it as instructions for the coder. See, here's the section B for the verifier. They know their roles, so I can copy this whole thing, take it to the coder, paste it in there, have them generate the code. Oops, I didn't open Canvas. Then I'll go here. I'm going to upload Sleeper because they're going to verify what's been changed. Put it there. Here's the original file. In a moment, I'll upload 3 more files, one at a time. Do not start the verification process until you have all 3 files. Those are the modified versions. This version is the complete original version. I'll give you instructions on what to look for to see how the code has been modified. Okay, so right now that's the CSS that he's making. Anytime it says style, it's CSS. That's information you don't need. I mean, you as the person, this is stuff you'll figure out later as you're making games. And then you've got a sleeper project that this is when it says logic, it's going to be the JavaScript. And then the last thing it's going to produce is the HTML. And the HTML is going to look funny because it's actually going to preview it. And this is just to give you an idea of what you do. Like, this is not an easy thing to do, to have somebody refactor it. I've taken the game, told it what I wanted to do. It made an action plan. I gave the coder the action plan, the original file. It's just coding. The verifier is waiting for the modified versions. And we've got them. All right. So when this is the CSS, we'll copy it. We'll paste it. We're going to go here and get ready for the next version. This is the JavaScript. I paste it in here. Then I'm going to go to the last part. And it's going to go ahead and preview. It's without all that information. This is the HTML. Copy it. It's processing all these information. We give it the HTML. Now we go back to the technical lead, and we got to get the instructions for the verifier. He's going to look and make sure that the game is essentially the same game. Here are the things that are supposed to be done to it. See, he jumped it. He's ready for the verification criteria. Here we go. It's going to read through that, go to his section that's relevant to him. Now, I could have just gone here and just copied it from here. It always bothers me that it doesn't pick up the bullet points, so I just copied the whole fucking thing. Status, it passed. It's said 0 hallucination. I'll just let you listen to what he says.
Status, pass. I have verified the refactoring of the Sleeper project from a monolithic file into the standard web structure. Verification report, structural check, index, HTML, reduced from approximately 680 lines to approximately 130 lines. The end blocks have been successfully removed. Style linked to .css, contains all CSS logic.
So you get the idea. So let's put this into practice. Now, every time we're going to have it code, we put a new coder. So what we have to do, every time we want to do it again, we go here, we go to there, we get the information for the coder. Do not use the same coder over and over. 1, he'll get confused between versions. And 2, the more it has to reference and continue working like a workhorse, like imagine you summoned a demon. This demon, the more and more it talks, the more and more, the closer and closer it gets to evaporating. So the more code it makes, the more closer to hallucinations you're going to get, and the more possibilities of it timing out. You do not want it to time out, because that's a waste of tokens, and you just have to do it all over again. Okay, so another Gemini, open canvas, paste in our mandate. Boom, it's going to tell us it's ready to code. We're going to go here. We're going to start all over. You don't know. Oh, we're not going to. We're going to do something else. Okay, I decided to stay with the single file version. I don't like it refactored just yet. So the original file that I uploaded to you, we're going to make a change. I don't like the aesthetics of it. I don't like the gold. Let's change gold to a bright orange. Please make action plan for the coder. So there it goes. It's going to look at the original file. It's going to make a plan for the coder. We're going to, I understand, I'm ready to code. It's brand new freaking coder. The other one was, Steve or whatever. Got a new one. We're going to give him the file, the original file, because he's going to have to code from that. He made an action plan for the color, changing the aesthetics. Copy it. Copy. Make sure canvas is on, which it is. Paste. We're going to adhere to the verifier. The verifier, it's fine to use the same verifier over and over and over. You'll notice when it's time to get a new one. I don't usually have to get a new verifier. Now we give it the original file. We tell it, here's the original file. In a moment, I'll give you the modified version. After I give you the modified version, I'm going to give you instructions on how to verify. Do not verify until I actually give you instructions on how to do so. So there's that. He's waiting for this. Getting the code made with just that change of the color. The reason why we're doing this, let's say if in the original technical lead, if I had it come up with the plan and code it, it has access to everything. And so it can change other stuff. Now the coder is only taking some very simple instructions. It's saying don't reinvent the wheel. Take this code, take this out and add this, and you're done. Where this one, we're actually asking it to make a plan on how you would change it. And then we ask it to change it. It can invariably change it and add other stuff. And we don't have anybody to go behind it and say, hey, wait a minute, did you do that right? It sounds like a lot to do, but it really isn't too bad. Because you're not doing any coding. So imagine I'm at home, I changed the color on this sleeper thing, or I'm at work, I did this. While it's coding that 2 or 3 minutes, I could do something else. I could write some lore, I can come up with other ideas, whatever. Okay, so here's the modified version, right? We need to go over here to the verification criteria. I'm going to show you, I can just copy just that section. It's waiting for instructions. We're going to give it instructions on compare the two. Does it pass? Does it fail? It probably should pass, but sometimes it'll just change things it's not supposed to because it's not an industry standard or whatever, or yeah, it passed.
Status, pass. I have analyzed the modified file, sleeper, HTML, orange theme, against the verification criteria. Verification report, visual inspection, UI and paths, UI headers, the CSS variable, web color was updated from #C0A06.
Okay, so it's just telling you everything that's done. So this file right here is good. If it wasn't, we get a new coder, give them the same instructions, and if it fails again, we find out why it failed. And if it fails multiple times, we take it to the lead and tell them, here's it failing, here's why it's failing, it consistently fails here. And we try to figure out, using the technical lead, why it failed and come up with a plan to fix it. Now, I know that it ramped up. I know that starting this thing was fun. Then we went into areas that are a little bit less fun to this stuff, which is no fun at all. But this is better than learning the code, because if you're me, I'm a game designer. I'm not a game developer as far as video games. I am a board game designer. So I want to take ideas and take them from concept to prototype to see if it's worth pursuing. And then I might want to modify the math or whatever. So here I am. So, or maybe I think this is a game that's good enough to make an HTML game for me and my friends. And here we go. This is us here's me doing it. Yeah, so the next thing I guess when we did a refactor and it had 3 different files, you can look here and look at older stuff. Sometimes it doesn't save, so don't rely on going back to your previous chats. So we're going to go to this coder instructions thing. This is it earlier. Luckily, it saved it, so we have these 3 files. If you have these 3 files, you'll use something like Visual Studio, and you'll put these 3 files in there and save one as a CSS, one as a JavaScript, and one as an HTML. I can go into showing you how to do that later in another video. And then you would only open up the HTML and everything would link up and everything would be fine. And then you would only be dealing usually with 1 file at a time, sometimes 2 files, and going through this process of telling the technical lead what changes you wanted to make an action plan, take those action plans to a new coder, upload all the files of the game, give it the instructions, it'll spit out code. You take that code and the original files to the verifier and the instructions on what it's looking for. You give it the instructions and it spits out whether it's good or not. And if it's good, you get that code and you put it in, you save it into Visual Studio. Otherwise, you do it all over again because it's screwed up. Yeah, so that's the process of taking a game from an idea to something that you're constantly working on. Hopefully I've covered a lot of it. I'll cover more and show you actually how to put it in Visual Basic probably later in another video. But I really wanted to get to some of the technical stuff. Some of you might be watching this for the first part, like the fun part. Some of you might be like, oh, that's too easy. There's nothing you should even do a video for. This is the part that you probably need help with. If you don't need help with it, and you're just starting out, eventually you'll need this help. I needed it. I had to come up with it. A lot of this stuff myself. Using LLMs to help me figure it out. But to tell you the truth, I didn't know the limitation, it's not an LLM limitation, it's a personal limitation. I didn't know what I could ask it to do. Like how many questions or what can it help me solve or any of that. Like, it's almost boundless. So once I got past that limitation in my head and stopped trying to figure out all these problems myself, because I was racking my brain over how am I going to get this to work, or how am I going to stop it from doing this context collapse thing it's talking about? How am I going to stop it from hallucinating? All of that, you can ask it for help. You can ask Gemini 3.0 for help on how to get past those sections. I didn't know that at first. I was trying to brute force with my own brain, and I would sometimes have days of just racking my brain on what would be a good checks and balances and whatnot. And then I come up with a system, and then I ask it to evaluate my system, and then it tells me, oh, this is standard practice in a real development environment. And then I'm like, you mean I just reinvented the wheel for no reason? I could have just asked you. I'm stupid. Anyway, maybe in the future videos we'll branch off and do more design work, but I don't think you're here to learn how to design. I think you're here to learn how to use AI to help you design, and that's kind of what I'm showing. There's a lot of work to do in our game, the sleeper game. There's a lot of stuff that I don't like the way it works. There's no tension. It's just pushing dots and there's nothing to do. So I'll find a way to add tension. One of those is going to be to narrow the ability to go to the next ring. So in other words, your nodes that are close to your first node, those should be easier. But the further you go away, the more specific kind of keys they should need to go in there. It should be more and more difficult and make you explore cattywampus. In other words, you're going one direction and you'll need to go another direction in order to help, to unlock other sections. So let's say I wanted to sell it to this dealer he wants a certain percentage, like exactly that percentage or whatever, and I can't do it with the nodes that I see, so I might have to go and do these back alley deals to get it to where it needs to be, and then I can finally sell it to him. I need to have that kind of a feeling. Also, you need to be able to end the game at more than $1,000. You don't want to lose money. That's an end state. So games like, well, Match the Girls is one that I made, but another game like in this genre would be, what is it, Luck Be a Landlord or whatever. In that game, you're basically paying rent. So you're trying to come up with ways to make money, and you're paying rent, and that's the it's like a blockade that allows you to go to the next round. So this game needs blockades. It needs to stop you from making all this movement laterally and make sure that you're moving forward. Or if you are moving laterally, it's strategic and not just, I guess, random like I'm doing. I was just moving forward, not even reading. And like, if I can boom, start the game, click here, click there, click there. I'm not even reading. Obviously, we didn't make that connection. Didn't make that connection. Didn't make that connection. There's the next. It's like I'm not even playing a game here. I'm just clicking. So that all needs to fix. I get the general idea, and I can make it better, and I can make this work, or this might be the genesis of another idea that's way better. I need my freaking camera. Anyway, that's the end of the video. We'll do another video about this stuff later, and we'll continue moving forward, teaching how to use an LLM to make a game or prototype ideas.